What is up, Earthnoids and Spacenoids? I am just a simple new type, and in this video we are returning to Moon Colony as we continue our coverage of Mobile Suit Moon Gundam. Last time, Yuta got in the Vargle and was able to activate its Psychomu system and control the Psycho Plates that were stuck on the outside of the colony. He was able to take out one of the Medusa mobile armors. In this episode, we will see the outcome of the fight. Catl and Agos will pilot the Catl to help plug the hole in the colony, and we will see Carol's past and how he ended up coming to the colony of Moon. So let's get into this. The Light Tribe people looking on refer to it as looking like the moonrise. Saphira gets a moment to collect herself. She notices that the head of the mobile suit is a Gundam. How did Zeon get a Gundam? Yuta feels completely connected to the mobile suit, or as he puts it, he has become a giant. Another Medusa goes in to attack. Yuta uses the Psycho Plates to repel the enemy's beam attack back at them. He keeps attacking and Yuta keeps deflecting. Agos is still trapped, but he sees Yuta fighting. He notes that at this rate, Yuta will accidentally deflect an attack and destroy the colony. He tries breaking free when Carol comes in to help him. The kids are helping citizens in the bunkers while Renault and Sarasa watch the fight. A beam attack heads in their direction, but Yuta saves the Moon Princess with his Psycho Plates. A siren begins going off in the colony. It is too late. Too much oxygen has evacuated the colony from the hole, and emergency protocols are being activated. Carol and Agos head to the disaster prevention system to activate an emergency release of concentrated oxygen. Theta Plus uses birdlime, or as we like to call it, spooge, and is able to spray its spooge all over the hole, but it isn't going to help too much. At least the hole won't grow any bigger. A Medusa attacks Saphira. She says that Minerva is inside the colony, but that motivates him to attack even harder. Yuta overhears Saphira mentioning Minerva. This motivates him to take a Psycho Frame and snipe the Medusa right through the cockpit, destroying it swiftly. The final Medusa has no other choice. He begins overloading his mobile armor and firing all the gun barrels at its highest output level, leaving a big hole in Moon. On the outside, the Raw Gills sees a giant explosion and notes that there is a critical hole on the outside of the colony. They continue trying to re-establish communication with Moon. They also try to contact Lieutenant Ubalto. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Ubalto gets out of his GM powered. He realizes that there is a giant hole in the colony. He hears someone call out for Minerva. One of the Light Tribe members begins freaking out, but Minerva informs them that it will take a few weeks for all the air to leave the colony, and fixes can be made before then. Saki gets mad at Minerva and blames her for all the current problems. The final Medusa pilot uses his beam saber on the new Gundam. He realizes that he is fighting against a total amateur. Suddenly, Saphira and Theta Plus comes in to help Yuta. She tells him not to rush like that and to utilize his Psycho Plates at a distance. She looks down at the hole and realizes that it can't be sealed. Agos and Carol are underground trying to maintain the oxygen levels. If the system goes below 18%, it will release emergency concentrated oxygen. But there are fires inside of the colony, so that concentrated oxygen will just spread the fire. They need to put the fires out before it drops below 18%. The Light Tribe group meets up with Renault and Sarasa. They wonder where Minerva is. Saki realizes she is no longer behind her. She and Renault goes to look for her. Saki calls out for Minerva when Lieutenant Ubalto grabs her. Saki sees that Ubalto has Minerva and he tells her to be quiet. She simply pretends like she didn't see Minerva. Savage. She reaches out to Yuta using her new type powers. While the Medusa and Theta Plus fight, the Catl comes in, piloted by Agos and Carol. They shoot off their spooge onto the Medusa. That's hot. They're going to use the Catl to seal the hole. Everyone looks out at the Catl as it begins going to work. Carol mentions during the chaos that Moon is smaller and the radiation shieldings is also thinner than newer colonies. Because of this, sickness is high in Moon than in other colonies. Carol talks of the abandonment of Spacenoids by the Earthnoids. He mentions that Spacenoids suffer the sins of the past from those who destroyed the Earth. We learn more about Carol's past through a flashback. He is also a member of Side 3 and a close comrade to Zeon Daikum. Unlike most, he saw Daikum's beliefs in Controlism as some way to bear the sins of the past, no different than those of the Anno Domini timeline. Taking ideology and applying it to the political realm is the problem. We also see glimpses of the destruction of Laplace and UC-0001. We will dive more into this as we get to our coverage of Unicorn. Because of this, Carol leaves the colony, not wanting to be a part of any of these ideals. In UC-0052, he is taken to the forgotten colony, Moon. There was once a war between extremists and the Light Tribe, and the descendants of Moon. The Light Tribe won that struggle. They were very much like the hippies or New Age people from the old ages. Carol is talking to Eld Moon. They want him to join the Light Tribe. The Moon family members say that they need more people from the outside that are willing to live the life of the Light Tribe. Of course, he assimilated with the tribe, settled down, and had a son, which is Yuta's father, Krito. Back in the present, Carol handles plugging the hole while Agos shoots spooge everywhere. We flash back to UC-0079. The Light Tribe receives transmissions of the Principality of Zeon declaring a war on Earth. Yuta is a very young child at this time as he visits with his father, Krito. They prepare for the moonrise. But Yuta, of course, is interested in the transmission that Carol is watching. They watch as Eld Moon brings forth the moonrise. A young Sarasa and Rosara is watching as well. In UC-0082, Eld Moon falls ill. Many people of the Light Tribe start to become ill as well. Carol mentions that they could get medicine if they go through the People of Arts, but Eld tells Carol that this is a slippery slope. If they begin working outside of their beliefs, where does it end? And we are starting to see that slippery slope play out in the present, as they are beginning to be consumed by outside influence. If he dies before supplies, then that is his fate. He was, unfortunately, met with his demise. Sometime later, Krito also fell ill. Like Eld, Carol says that they can't go against the rules of the Light Tribe for Krito. What we learn, however, is that he actually did go to try to get some help. When using communications, however, Krito comes in and destroys the radio. He tells him he understands the teachings. People delayed death for centuries, and that is how they were pushed off the planet and into colonies to begin with. He understands and accepts these teachings. It was Krito's choice. More time passes, and of course, Krito succumbs to his illness and passes away. UC-0088, Sarasa performs the moonrise with Rosara watching. This will be Rosara's last moonrise, as she will unfortunately die during the events of Double Zeta. UC-0091, Carol takes Yuta out for his first spacewalk. He promised his son, Krito, that he would instill the teachings into Yuta, as he did for him when he was younger. This is the purpose of Moon. Carol snaps out of his flashback. He sees that the Medusa is free from the spooge. Carol tells Agos to get out of here. The Medusa begins attacking. Yuta screams out for his grandfather. Carol thinks about his son. The Medusa attacks once again, destroying the Catl in the process. Everyone in the colony watches on. Suddenly, the Gundam activates. All of the psychoplates surround the Gundam and then attach to the arms, creating giant blades. Yuta is panicking after witnessing his grandfather's death. Minerva consents him and tells him to be careful with the colony. She says that he can't fully control his power. Lieutenant Ubalto is watching Minerva talk to no one. She is of course talking to Yuta, but to him, she looks just like a crazy kid. And how do we handle crazy kids? Punch them in the stomach. That's right. Give them a nice whack in the gut. Also, this is like the third or fourth time in this channel's history where we have seen the gut punch causing someone to pass out cliche. I'm going to have to start keeping track of this. The Medusa goes in for the attack, but Yuta tears through the mobile armor. Saphira tries to reach out to Yuta and help calm him down. He doesn't listen and goes in to attack the remains of the Medusa cockpit, but Saphira and Theta Plus comes in and blocks him. She tells him that it contains a core reactor, and if that goes off, the colony is destroyed. The cockpit is able to make its escape. The base of the Catl still remains, so Agos is still alive. He continues filling the hole with spooge. The Raw Gills is still monitoring the colony on the outside, and note that the overflow of oxygen has been greatly reduced. They wonder how they did that with just temporary repairs. They suddenly get a message from Lieutenant Ubalto. He informs them that he has captured Minerva and that he is returning to the ship. Zeon is concerned with the GM escaping, but Captain Gennaro tells him to let it go. Their concern should be with Yuta being able to pilot the Gundam. She thinks that perhaps they could use him to find the princess, still unaware that she just left the colony with the GM you specifically told your men not to worry about. Sweet, sweet irony. Agos was able to eject from the Catl. Saphira wonders if those plates on the Gundam are funnels. Her load balancer is broken and she can't transform into the core fighter. She sees Yuta get out and notes that it is just a child. Yuta gets out of the Gundam and runs towards the ruins of the Catl. Agos is frustrated for allowing Carol to die. And that will do it for this episode. Anytime in an anime or manga that someone flashes back to their past during an attack, it usually means they're going to die. We see that although Yuta's mother is mad at Carol for allowing Krito to die, we find out that Krito chose this path for himself. I mean, you probably should have told your wife this. Oh, Krito, great father, shitty husband. Next time, we will see a new mobile suit that is the evolution of the Gaymulk. The Raw Gills also gets attacked, and the Raw Kylun and Amino must go to investigate. But that will do it for now, new types. Remember to be honest with your wife so she doesn't take it all out on your father. Peace.